Hey, have you ever wanted to do your live stream, but not be live, but live stream? Not live, live stream. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that today. Your mind is about to be blown. Waiting for perfection, never got anything done. You just have to start. 3, 2. Hey guys, welcome to the Church Media Guys show. By the way, if you want to learn how to leverage media, amplify the gospel, and change lives, then start now by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the bell so that you don't miss a thing. Today, I am talking with one of my new BFFs. This is a fella that has solved a problem that I don't even think we realized that we had. His name is Brandon Fisher, and he is the founder of a company called Live Pigeon. Brandon, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Dave, thanks for having me, and thank you guys for having me on today. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, so your company is called Live Pigeon, right?
Yes.
Okay, well that's better than, dead pigeon or I don't know, bloated otter or something like. What Live Pigeon? Where'd you come up with the name?
It's interesting. Once I had the concept for being able to do a software like this, I was driving because I was trying to figure out what would be something good to call the company, and I was looking at a lot of options. Like Geico has a gecko. There's all these companies that have animals or birds or different things associated with them, and I was thinking about what is the thing that we're trying to help people to do, and it's to get their message out into the world. And what's crazy is during World War II. Pigeons were actually used to deliver messages, and it's the most successful delivery rate was actually through pigeons. And so every message that they needed to send during the time of war actually got through. And so I feel like we're kind of all at war for attention, just trying to get our messages out to the world. And so Live Pigeon was kind of anyways, I knew I wanted to do something, since we're doing stuff in the live space, live video space, that Live Pigeon kind of came together. I'll share one other funny story. We got a box of, I had a box shipped to our office, and on the outside it said Live Pigeon on it. and the
Had
delivery driver was
like,
I hope that they're not live pigeons in here, because so kind of a funny story.
That's awesome. I could see. I'm just my mind is going back to the the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when Aunt whatever comes in and she hands Clark the box, and he's holding on to it and it starts shaking. It's like, oh, looks like Aunt Edna wrapped the cat again.
Exactly.
Okay, so the name makes sense then. I never put the two and two together. That the carrier pigeon and then what you guys are doing. So that's brilliant. That's a really clever deal. All right. So for those who don't know, what is Live Pigeon, and why'd you do this?
You bet. So Live Pigeon is a platform that allows you to take a pre-recorded video, basically something that maybe you shot on your phone or from your computer that you've recorded. Maybe you've done some editing to the video. You can then take that video, schedule it, or upload it to us, and then schedule when you want it to go live. And it's been interesting just to see all the different types of people who are coming in and using this. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But it's just been fascinating, because this all really came from my own frustrations. I own a video production company, and we've been trying to figure out we've been producing a lot of videos for our clients, and doing more of the post-production work, doing the editing and things like that. Now everything's kind of shifting to this new online platform. At least as of 5 years ago, Facebook launched and came out with the ability to go live on their platform.
Right.
And so, there's just been people trying to figure out how to do this. And there's tons of different softwares out there that allow you to do it, like OBS, or I'm guessing vMix might, Wirecast. Again, there were a bunch of different services that would allow you to do this, but they weren't easy to use, and they were just in fact, someone being professional with my camera equipment and being able to go out and do that, and I use complicated video editing software, I just didn't think that the platform to try to use I'm just going to throw OBS out as the example, but
Yeah,
trying to use that
real
to
common.
do this, it's not easy to use out of the box. Like,
Right.
I think once you get familiar with the layout and once you know how to do it, you can do it. But man, it was just completely frustration to basically, I had a client who was going out of town on vacation and was like, hey, is there any way that we can do this? So I had to figure out how to do it. And it, like I said, it was just a complete headache and frustration where I had to be sitting there present, push a button, wait for it to end, and then end the stream. And 4 years ago, actually, it was when I had the first idea to be like, I wonder if it's possible to get a software to be able to do this for people. Being able to take your video files, plug them in, and easily schedule them. And really, it was solving my own answer to my own I was coming up with my own solution to my frustration. And so that's basically how Live Pigeon came about.
Well, and that's necessity is the mother of invention. That's been said for, I don't know, a couple hundred years maybe. And that is what I have seen just kind of across the board. The most successful inventions, the most successful companies or services or products or whatever are the ones that scratched an itch that person had. And then they figured out how to do it and then said, okay, now let's let everyone else, because if I have this itch, so many other people do too. I had that itch last year, actually. When COVID hit, our church, we'd been online and we'd been live streaming, doing all that for a number of years. But we kind of kicked everything into like super high gear because we had our digital platform and we had our regular Sunday morning 10:30 a minute before the stream before service starts, you start the stream and then you get going. When you're done, trim it out, upload just the sermon afterwards, and so you got both pieces of content, you get this whole thing. But then last year our church, along with a whole lot of other churches, had to go from a little bit of an online presence to a lot of online presence and to doing so much. And one of the things that we had to do was we realized we couldn't do the live stream like we normally did it, so we started shooting. We actually went to our youth building, and we've got a youth worship center up there, and we decided we're going to change the venue. We're going to set up the pastor and put some lights on the stage behind us, and we pre-shot the worship stuff. And then I would pre-shoot with the pastor and then go home and compile it all together. But then when it came time for 10:30 on Sunday morning, we had to do our live stream. So what I was doing was loading it into my vMix box here and going live and hitting play and playing it out live through the stream and monitoring it and making sure that everything's good. And that was my solution. And I know a lot of churches were doing that, or doing the premiering it on YouTube, or doing a watch party, or premiering it on Facebook and all that. So Live Pigeon just makes a lot of sense, if for nothing else, if you can't this week do your live stream like normal. I mean, having a service like that in your back pocket, I think, for anyone who's doing live streaming, just makes sense. Just makes sense. And looking at your pricing and stuff, you guys actually have a pretty good pricing model for doing that as well. Okay, so I'm curious, what when you're doing this, when you're uploading a video, I remember, man, it's been a couple of years, but I remember we had some people ask about, hey, because I was telling them, I'm doing like the vMix hack or whatever, playing it out. And I remember somebody asking about, like, does that violate the terms of service for YouTube or for Facebook? I remember Facebook had, for a while, they had one of their terms of service was, if you're live streaming on Facebook, you can't be live streaming on YouTube or anywhere else in the world. And really? We can discuss antitrust later, off air. But I remember that question coming up. And so, YouTube has something where, like, they don't want you just putting like a static image up and like just streaming audio. They want, other stuff. So I know there's some of these these terms and stuff, do you guys have to worry about that, or has that changed? I mean, I know, if I'm going to be telling churches, get a live Pigeon account and stuff, I don't want to be throwing them under the bus because I didn't realize something, and now that makes me look bad.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, what I like about this question, we get this question a lot as well, and the hard part is it's kind of a gray area.
Okay.
What's interesting is when we set out to do stuff with Facebook, that was the very first place that we set out to do live streaming too. We actually became an integrated partner with them. So they have a portal. They allow us to do the programming, and we basically built out the software, and then they approve it. And so the thing is, if it was against their terms of service, you would think that they wouldn't allow us to even be able to do what we're doing. Now, I don't say that in a way to boast or anything, but
right.
they know, I think that they know what's going on.
Right.
And they allow it to happen, but we just have to be careful on maybe what type of content we're putting out. You nailed it on the head with try not to just have static, a static image with just audio underneath. Although you can do that, there's things that you can do, but there's definitely things that you shouldn't do, because right. There's things that are definitely against their privacy policy, as far as even copyright material. If you don't own it, you probably shouldn't be putting it out there, especially music. Mm-hmm. They can go through and detect if there is copyright music. And they used to warn you ahead of time, hey, we stopped your feed because we noticed music. Now they'll just end the feed without even warning you. And so if you can be a little bit proactive on what content you're putting out there, you shouldn't have any issues going live on these platforms. So
well, and that makes sense. I mean, the approval process for apps and third-party hooks and stuff into their system, I'm guessing, is all hand-checked. It's not it's just a completely automated process. At some point, someone's going to look at it and test it and make sure that it's not pornography, or make sure that it's not some sort of a radical hate group or something like that putting their app and stuff. So I think it makes sense that if they said nope, this is fine, then this is fine. It just stands to reason. Sure. Now with companies like this, they get fickle sometimes, and they can completely change the way they do stuff. And we've seen people build communities and start going one direction, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, we're not doing that anymore, and it's like. So I was looking at the interface that you have, right off the bat, you've got integration with Facebook and YouTube. You've also got one that says other services or RTMP. So, I mean, theoretically, I could, if I built my own, server, cloud-based streaming server or something, I should be able to hook into that with the appropriate, the URL and a stream key.
Exactly. And any place that you can get a stream key from, you plug it in there, and then you just set the time that you want it to go live, and it'll go live.
That's cool.
So yeah, and it works out really well. There's even websites now, depending if you're using a Wix, or I think Squarespace offers it as well, where you can get a stream key from them, and then you paste it into us, and it'll actually go basically live to your platform at the time that you want to go live, and it supports all of that, so it's really good.
Well, okay, so you've got the ease of use and the flexibility, built into your platform, which is really cool. And
there's one thing I do want to say about that, if you don't mind. What's interesting is when we first set out, I wanted to create a software platform that made it so that people didn't even have to see a stream key. And that's what we've been able to accomplish for the most part. So, for example, you just mentioned we're integrated with Facebook, we're integrated with YouTube, and the nice thing is you just connect your account, you upload your video file, you say where you want it to go live, and then you're done, and then it'll take care of the rest.
Yeah,
and that's what we set out to do, was just super simplistic. It's hard because a lot of people say they have an easy to use software, and then you get in there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do.
Right.
But I think that this is different, and I can't wait for you to experience it. But
yeah, I like that. By the way, if you're wanting to check it out, you can go to trylivepigeon.com. Try Live Pigeon. How do you spell Pigeon? Pigeon? Is that right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. So
It's on my
live,
shirt, too.
there you go. Try livepigeon.com. We're partnering with Brandon, his company, to bring that to you. Give it a try. Check it out. It's pretty cool. I'm actually going to talk to my church and have them set up an account for what we're doing. We've moved to a model where we do our live service, and we produce our live service in-house for like the monitors in the hallway, and in the kitchen, in the nursery, and stuff like that. But we're not actually streaming that anymore. On Thursdays, the pastor and I get together, and I actually shoot him like we did during the COVID. And that lets him have a custom experience for the people that are watching online or watching delayed later or whatever, where he's talking directly to them, and it's not like this live event is going on and you're looking through a window at what's going on type experience. It's more of a you and him, or your family and him. And what we've been doing is been scheduling those, doing a premiere, so that at the same time, when our service is going live and starting at 10:30, then this one is dropping as well, so that the people who are used to that time, their schedule isn't thrown off or anything. But I'm thinking that we can go a step further and use Live Pigeon and actually let it be a live stream. And then instead of just having someone in the comments for the premiere or whatever, we can actually have someone in the stream while it's happening, 2 or 3 people talking and answering questions and providing links and doing all that sort of stuff. So that's really cool. I'm gonna see if I can get them on board with that. So, you guys, we can simultaneously do these as well, or is it one or the other?
No, so you can simultaneously go live. So what's really cool actually is when the pandemic kind of first broke out, it was kind of interesting. We actually saw a huge increase in churches signing up to our platform.
Right.
And mainly because, just like you talked about, Dave, there was a lot of churches who were not set up and ready to be able to go live. Or if so, they had these like really big, complicated systems at their church. But then when people were, more isolated to their homes, the ability for pastors to be able to record a message, and then to be able to get that out, like I said, we saw a big increase in churches signing up for our platform. And what I really thought was cool about it is there are a lot of churches in rural areas that didn't have good internet to begin with, so they weren't even able to do live streaming. And now this is giving them the ability to do that, which is incredible. We've even had, pastors who hadn't even had a vacation in a really long time. In fact, one of my favorite stories is we had a lady reach out to us. Her husband was a pastor, and she was wanting to take him out on vacation. And so she actually signed up to Live Pigeon so that they could do a message in advance, pre-record it, and then schedule when they were wanting it to go live so that they could go on a trip, which I thought was just a really unique way that they were able to, that this software was able to help serve them. So
well, and it's brilliant. I love that. One of the things that we do, we have, and y'all that are watching this, if you haven't adopted this, this is a really cool way to do it. I told you that we do our regular Sunday morning thing, and then we do something specific for the audience, or for the remote audience. On Wednesday nights, our family ministry has they call it a parent roundtable, and it's parents with kids anywhere from I just had a baby to my wife and I are approaching empty nest, and it's parents doing talking about raising kids in a godly home. What's the phrase or the catchphrase or whatever we use is raising a godly family in a world that's trying to tear the family apart, or something like that. And so we do our Bible study in there, but and that'll be for an hour or something like that, just whoever's there in the room. But then what our family pastor has done is, like the day before, he will do it and record it himself, and then we'll do our live in there with whoever shows up for Wednesday night from like 6 to 7, and then he goes into another room with his laptop and loads up and hits go live on OBS and sends out the 20-minute version that he recorded with all the same information, but just not so much of the discussion. But he's having to do that. So, it's like if you can use it once for your church service, then there's a lot more that you can be doing, guys, to think outside the box, to think, like we did, where we have our Bible study that's happening. We still got families that maybe they can't get there because they get off at 6, and they're home by 7, or what have you. Whether it's youth group, whether it's Sunday morning Bible study, whether it's this is a fantastic delayed live stream. I think one of the biggest keys, Brandon, is that when people are doing this, that there is somebody there to monitor and to be in the chat and to be communicating. That across live streaming, I think, is paramount. Regardless, is to interact with the people that are talking, to ask questions, to provide that engagement and stuff. And you and I both know, and those of you watching, if you don't know, when that happens, that also sends signals to the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whoever you're live streaming to, that there's engagement happening on this, which means we should probably try to put it in front of more people to grow a larger audience, because it's not just a stream that's happening that no one's involved with. There are people doing things and talking in here. There's conversation happening in here, which means if these people like it, then these people might like it. So you can actually grow your audience, grow your YouTube channel, grow your Facebook page, or whatever, by using this, whether you're live streaming directly or a delayed live stream like this one. So I would encourage you guys to do that. How long have you guys been doing Live Pigeon?
Great question. Yeah, we've been doing this now for over 4 years, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And it's interesting too with what you were just talking about with churches. We've seen a lot of churches, and I'm sure that you watching might be able to attest to this as well, is like, because you're able to do live streaming, like, you're able to reach a larger audience. We're able to see more people coming and hearing the word, which is really cool. It's like, it's a really cool way to get people to come in who might not have maybe stepped foot in your church before. And what a great way to be able to help still deliver this message of positivity and hope, especially during this last year, has been absolutely crazy. And this is what has gotten us fired up and excited over here at Live Pigeon, is just the people that we're able to serve and the stories that we've been able to hear because of people being able to get that message out. Especially too, like, there's even been times like where, let's say a pastor wants to go ahead and have, let's say, an extra message in the can, just in case something comes up, whether, I mean, maybe it's people getting ill or sick, to be able to have something, hey, let's run that, so that at least to the congregation, everyone can still hear a message. It might not necessarily be the one that was intended, although it still might be, right? Depending on how you're creating content.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And always always leave room for the Holy Spirit. So, if you are sick, it's like you have to play a rerun or something like that, and then you find out, wow, that spoke to like more people than it did the first time because of whatever's going on in their life. So that's cool. All right, so you guys have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have an open door with the RTMP. The how do you put it? Manually adding other live things. So what's new? You were telling me that you guys have an announcement. What's next on the plate?
So here's what's pretty cool, you guys. Just today, we just announced Instagram Live on our platform, which is pretty cool because the way in which you were able to go live before, you had to use another third-party software, and it just, anytime you keep adding to, multiple things, sometimes things can happen or things can break, and so we're trying to eliminate that. And the other hard part is we do try to care, or we don't try. We have really good customer service,
right.
And what we love to be able to do is if somebody calls us, we answer our phone. And people have absolutely loved that. But the challenge is if they're using these third-party, softwares, we actually don't really offer support for those, although we'll do our best to help guide them through it. But now we'll be able to help service our customers even more, which is going to be awesome.
That's great. Removing that extra step, that extra barrier, definitely makes things a lot easier. All right, so Instagram is like a mobile first, and kind of almost a mobile only type of platform and stuff. How are you guys handling that? It would seem, when I live stream from here, I live stream with like a 5 or a 6 megabit upload. I push a lot of data. I know people that are doing it, like when I do it from the church, sometimes I do like 10 megabits. Some people that have like fiber and stuff, they may be doing 20 or 30 or whatever, depending on the platform that they're going to. How does that work with something like Instagram?
That's a really good question. So the way in which we have it, designed is actually Instagram hasn't actually opened up for developers to be able to do it on their platform.
Okay.
And so we had to engineer a way to do it where people can still take their messages and go live to Instagram. The biggest challenge actually was the ability to schedule. Because like right now, if you were to use one of these third-party, whether it's Yellow Duck or whether it's InstaFeed, the challenge is you got to plug your information in, but then as soon as you generate your stream key, it technically is already starting your live stream.
Right.
And so the challenge with that is if you tried to schedule it 4 hours from now, but as soon as you generated that stream key, by the time 4 hours came, it's already gone live and it's already ended. So just even having the ability to do scheduled live streams, that's really what we're most excited about in having this. And so it operates similar to a Yellow Duck or an InstaFeed, the way that we're able to kind of, it's like a workaround, I guess you could say, because we don't have that integration like we do with Facebook and with YouTube. We're hopeful that they do open it up to developers someday, just because there's things that they allow us to be able to do. But doing it this way, you're still going to be able to get your messages out on the platform. What's cool too is when you upload your video to us, we get everything processed for live streaming. I think one of the biggest challenges right now is you have some people who, let's say, are shooting 4K, but the problem is none of these streaming platforms support 4K.
Right.
It's like 1080, right? Or even to Facebook, it's only 720.
Right.
And so just even being able to take, like, basically we just take everything 1080 and we push it 1080 and we let Facebook downgrade that, I guess, to 720. But to everywhere else, we're just trying to stream to the highest quality. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. And one of the things that just kind of struck me is that we're actually like the user is like me is not actually live streaming to Instagram. It's more like scheduling the release, but it's being released as live. So that, I think, it actually makes a lot of sense. If I'm trying to push 10 megabits or 20 megabits up to live stream, to Instagram, I could see them getting frustrated with that. But when you guys receive the video file and then you optimize it accordingly, that makes a whole lot of sense. So that we're not sending a 30 megabit 4K stream, and cramming it down on somebody's phone who has, a 3 gig a month, bandwidth limit, So that's really cool.
And you'll probably appreciate this, but when we first launched, we had no limits on our file upload size. And I think this was about a month ago. We had 2 users who, one uploaded a 77 gig file and a 50 gig file, which just completely caused our whole servers to just go down, which was totally unfortunate. So we ended up having to go back and look at how do we continue to serve more people? But the thing is, as you know, you're a video professional, a 77 gig file for an hour long or an hour and a half long program, that's just too much. You're probably looking at an Apple ProRes file or something just 4K even, right? Just these big files that we actually don't need, and really we want to help best serve you. So if you can get your video files down to a nice sizable size, then we can then take it and then get it optimized for live streaming.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. And folks, I may have to make a video or something just teaching people about compression and how to do it and how to get the best bang for your size buck and all that. So thanks for putting another video on my plate. Appreciate it.
You bet. And you know what's funny? It is something that like a lot of people miss.
Right.
Like they think that compression is a bad thing. Like,
right.
Oh no, I want the best quality. Well, so do we. We want to help you get the best quality to the platform. But sometimes there's so much information you're sending that's just unusable. Like they're going to compress it anyway. So
right.
You might as well help the process by compressing it so that it's optimal before you even get it sent to go live streaming. So
yeah, and
that could be a good video for you.
I think so too. All right, so by the way, go to trylivepigeon.com if you have not taken a look at it, if you've not played with it yourself. Is definitely worth a try. Do they get like a trial period when they sign up?
They do. Yep. So right now, if you get signed up, you'll get a 14-day free trial.
Okay.
The nice thing about the 14-day free trial is, it's funny. There's a lot of people who will wait, right, before they actually need to use it. And you can do that, but if you get signed up and then you upload, I would encourage you to do a test before you actually do go, real live.
Sure, of course.
But also give us a call. So when you get signed up through the link, there's a phone number at the bottom, or you can even go on our website and schedule a demo call. We love walking you through the process. Again, going live can be stressful, and I think this is the best way to do it. So we're taking so much of the stress off of your plate, and it just allows you to be able to focus. In fact, there was another right before the pandemic. We were working with a church down in Arizona. And what was cool is we were able to help develop some tools for this church, and this was before the pandemic had broken out, and so we were already set up and ready to go to help support churches. And so it's something that we love doing, and we can't wait to be able to help support you in this way of getting your messages out into the world. So we're here to help you.
Awesome. So trylivepigeon.com, folks. Go check it out. Get a 14-day trial. It is worth playing with. It is a very inexpensive arrow to have in your quiver if you're regularly live streaming. And you brought up a really good point that I hadn't even really thought of. You were talking about how churches in areas that don't have just stellar broadband. This is actually brilliant because they can record their service. I mean, even if they are, say, running a week behind, right? Mm-hmm. So they record this week, and then this week's service is going to get trimmed up, and then it's going to be live streamed next week, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you're doing that, one of the things that you work around the bandwidth limitation because you have a 1 megabit upload or you have a 1.5 megabit upload. You're not going to be able to stream. You're going to get macro blocking. You're going to get all kinds of stuff like that. Plus, my rule of thumb when it comes to live streaming is whatever your max upload speed is. You run a speed test 5 or 6 times, and you kind of look at, okay, I'm peaking or averaging around say 20 megabit upload. So divide that in 3, and that's the max that you should do. So if it's 20 megabits, you should be sending like say a 6 megabit stream at the most, because your service fluctuates, and if you read the terms at Spectrum or Cox or whoever, it says up to 400 download and up to 20 download. It doesn't say here's the numbers that we're always going to give you all the time. So offloading that burden, you edit it on Monday night and you upload it, and say it takes 10 hours for it to upload to the platform, then it takes 10 hours to upload to the platform. You go to bed, and exactly. In the morning it's ready, and then you schedule it, and then it's set to drop the next day or 2 days later or whatever the thing is you can kind of you can, it's like the best of both worlds, I guess. We're stuck out here. We've got crappy uploads. We want a live stream. Boom, we can do it. We actually do the live stream over a longer period of time, but the user doesn't know a difference, and that's just brilliant. So kudos. That's a brilliant idea.
Thank you so much. And the other thing too is we get all the time like, well, our church doesn't have equipment to go live.
Right.
But the thing is, most people in the congregation have an iPhone or a smartphone.
Yep.
You know, you get it set up. You can buy an inexpensive tripod. You know, just basically get started, because the thing is, really the goal is, how can we get more people to hear the message, right? How can we get more people to come into Christ? And this, I think, is a great way to be able to do that. And
that's the key, getting started. And yeah, this is great. I love Live Pigeon. This is a brilliant idea. I'm glad you figured this out. And I'm glad that the platforms are working with you and allowing you to do this, because I think this is a brilliant idea. Is there any kind of limit to how far out we can schedule?
Great question. So right now, Facebook actually has a 7-day window.
Okay.
YouTube actually doesn't. And so, but if you're trying to go live to both platforms at once, we recommend just that 7-day window. And what's nice is, so for example, if you want to, I would say most of our churches are uploading on, Friday or Saturday night and then scheduling for Sunday. But then if you have Bible study and if you have other activities throughout the week or daily devotionals that you're trying to drip out, again, that's a good way to do that, where if you did it on a Friday or a Saturday, that'll get you a week out. And then if you just keep repeating that each week, where you're just, you just get to set your schedule, kind of, right?
Right.
You just choose what day works best for you on your content days, and then you can kind of schedule out from there.
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of do your batch scheduling on Fridays or Saturdays or whatever for the following week.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. That makes tons of sense. Awesome. Well, Brandon, did I miss anything? Is there anything else? I mean, can you like give me an idea of like the next thing now that you're mastering Instagram? I mean, what's on the chart that you haven't told anybody about yet?
So there's another thing that we launched actually today as well, which is the ability. So churches have been asking for this, and so we figured out a way to do it, and it's really cool. So, for example, if you're going live to a Facebook page, you can actually take that and embed that onto your website, which is pretty cool. Because especially like there's a lot of churches that have concern too, right? Like if you're going live to YouTube and there's your church stream and they're watching it, well, off to the right banner you can see maybe sometimes some questionable appropriateness that can pop up on the side.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
By the way, I remember I remember getting this question from somebody. They were like, why is it that I'm seeing when I'm watching when I'm watching Pastor Jared preaching and stuff, why am I seeing recommended videos for hot babes on exotic cars or something like that? And I was like, how old's your son? And they were like, he's 13. Why? Is this the computer he uses? Yes.
Yeah.
You might want to look at what he's looking at on YouTube, because that's YouTube suggesting content that you might like as well.
Absolutely. And so I think that's kind of been a concern in going live on some of these platforms,
of course,
right? But the cool thing is we have something that we're calling Smart Embed, where you can go in, if you're going live to YouTube, you can actually go in and get your embed code, and then you can paste that onto your website. But the cool thing is this embed code, it's any time your church goes live on your channel, it will automatically pop up on your website.
Okay.
And so it's a one-time thing that you have to, get set up. But the cool thing is you don't have to keep going in there and trying to contact the person that might be managing the website and giving them all the updated links all the time. You can still do that, but it's just been probably one of the most frequently asked things from churches lately, which is like, how do I embed this onto our website? Which you could do, but you usually have to go and set up your live stream. Then you have to go to YouTube, go get the link. So we're trying to put everything in like one place where it's easy to get. We'll have more information of how to do that as well on our website. So don't feel like if you don't understand what I'm saying right now, don't worry about it. We try to break down everything to make it just super easy to use. And we have amazing customer support. So if you do run into anything, we're based here in the U.S. Just reach out to us, whether you want to text us, call us, email us, and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible because we know how important your message is in getting it out there to the world. So
Dude,
I would say was
awesome.
Probably those two things, Instagram and that, I think are two biggest things that I'm really excited for. The other thing is all of this has really come from our customers. And so if there are features that you're looking for or, oh my gosh, this would make my life so much easier, just let us know. Like I said, we've been working with a lot of churches. We've made a lot of changes. I'm trying to think. We even had, I'll share this one story with you guys really quick, but we had a story where that church down in Arizona, they were going live at 10 a.m., but then they would usually do another broadcast at like 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And so we have something now called like resend Pigeon. So in other words, the feed that you just went live to at 10, you can then click a button and then resend that and broadcast that out at 2 o'clock with the click of a button, which is pretty nice. So you don't have to refill out a title and description. You don't have to re-upload your video file or anything like that. Since we already have all of your stuff, we just try to make it really easy for you to get. And again, even the people behind the scenes, right? The tech support, the people running cameras, like there's so much that goes into building up your church. And it would be nice to also get them to also be able to enjoy the message by not being so stressed out by trying to make sure that the live stream is going properly and everything. Now everyone can focus on fellowship, right? And answering questions in the comments and reaching out and extending that welcome to everybody who's coming in, and whether they're digital or whether they're there in person. So it's been a really cool, I would say, blessing that's come from all of this pandemic and all of this craziness is how can we still best serve those that are maybe still at home, and how can we still best serve those who are in person with us? And then how can we take that message and continue to kind of, not necessarily, just maybe repurposing throughout the week. So you could take that hour-long sermon and then make highlights, right? And then maybe put those out for those that might not be able to have seen it on Sunday. They can get the highlight of the message and still feel that, still be able to feel the Spirit. So
that's cool. This is great. I love this. I'm getting more and more excited. When Justin first showed me this, I was like, oh, this is great. I love it. This is a really cool idea. But I didn't really dig into it and stuff. So thank you for reaching out and connecting with me with the new things. I really am excited, and this is definitely something that I'm going to strongly suggest that we use at our church as well. So if you are interested in checking out Live Pigeon, then you need to go to trylivepigeon.com, trylivepigeon.com, get your 14-day trial, check it out, play with it. I think you will find that this is a really cool tool to put in your toolbox. Brandon, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing all this great information. Look forward to having you back on the show as new things are coming out and that we can share with everybody. Thank you for your time, my friend.
thank you, Dave, and thank you guys for tuning in today.
Go get Live Pigeon. Go to trylivepigeon.com and let me know in the comments how it's going for you. Give me a link to some of your stuff. I want to see it. Take the information